So again, welcome all. We'll be going over some Gua Sha 101 today. My name is Britta Plug. I am one of the co-founders of Wildling. We are a indie beauty company, woman-owned, self-started, and we make tools like Gua Sha stones and products to support you in your beauty rituals. And our intention is really to help you sort of practice some of that self-care and come back home to yourself through your beauty rituals as well. My background is as a holistic esthetician. I've been a holistic esthetician for 17 years and practiced most of that time in New York City where I had a studio, and for the last several years really focused on facial gua sha. So I've done thousands of facial gua sha treatments, and in this new paradigm that we live in, I'm mostly teaching and online now and have left New York and I'm in Austin, Texas. So today we're going to go over some basics such as how to hold the tool, why the Empress Tonic and Oil are essential, how much pressure to use, what the different edges of the stone are. I notice you can't see it when it's over on my dark wall. What strokes and direction to use on each part of the face, neck, and shoulders, how often to do gua sha in order to see results, how to incorporate gua sha into your skincare routine, and if you want to learn more about the 21-day challenge, which is also free, I'll tell you more about that too. And we can hop right on in. So first of all, the origins of gua sha are from Chinese medicine. Gua sha is also practiced as a folk technique in many other countries. So that meaning practiced in the household for healing, often to reduce fever, reduce pain in the body, on the back, legs, and arms, and to clear congestion in the lungs. So it's a technique really coming from traditional Chinese medicine. My co-founder, one of my two co-founders, Gianna, is an acupuncturist. And again, I'm a holistic esthetician. So bringing those together has really been amazing in creating Wildling and our offerings. And my other co-founder, Jill, has a background in Western herbalism and creates our beautiful product. So this is the Empress collection, where you have a stone, tonic, and oil. So we recommend starting with a clean face. You don't want makeup or sunblock or anything else on. Starting with a nice clean face and then applying your tonic and oil. And we're going to go through the Empress Ritual step by step together after going through some of the basics. So that is to come. Again, if you want to have some things you might need with you, I've got a headband, love my bangs, but they have to go back when we're doing some facial gua sha, hand towel, your tonic and oil, glass of water, and something to take notes with if you want to take any notes. So, right, getting started, clean face, tonic oil, Chinese medicine. It's really, again, primarily used on the body for healing. And at some point, it was started to be used on the face for rejuvenation, moving stagnation, reducing puffiness, increasing flow of vitality, lymph, blood, and qi to the face. So keeping the tissues really healthy. In my background as an esthetician, so much of what I was taught most of my career focused on the very, 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 very outer, like, millimeter of skin and the products that we would put on, how we would wash the face, how we would exfoliate, how we would moisturize. Not that those can't be beneficial, but I was so interested in how facial gua sha could start to benefit the deeper tissue by starting to move some of that stagnation, anything that's accumulating and just kind of sitting. So starting to move the lymphatic flow, release muscular tension, and that then allowing room for that fresh vitality, that fresh flow to come to the tissue, to the skin. And that is truly just so rejuvenating and takes your skincare deeper than that outermost layer. Some of the most common benefits that we see can be more both immediate and cumulative. So some of the things that we see pretty quickly are the lymphatic drainage, so depuffing. People will often notice like their bone structure is popping a little bit more after facial gua sha. You'll sort of notice that like it's called the turgor of your skin that's got more elasticity and feels firmer and more toned even immediately after doing facial gua sha. Some of the more long-term benefits, to me, the fine lines and wrinkles do take more time, especially depending on how long those expression lines have been sort of working their way into the tissue. We'll go into some techniques for those as well. Some other more long-term benefits that I see are the reduction of congestion in the skin. Because we're keeping everything flowing and we're detoxifying the tissue really regularly, we start to see less accumulation of blackheads, breakouts. Folks that would see me for regular facial gua sha and incorporate this at home would see if they had, regular breakouts, they would start to usually diminish. So they would see less breakouts, less frequently, and then the healing time also being faster when they did break out. Because again, the tissue just has all of those resources of the tissue detoxifying regularly and that fresh supply of blood and vitality coming to the tissue in order to accelerate the healing time. So many benefits. So that's sort of like more the visual aesthetic. To me also, one of the really main benefits is coming back home to myself. The end of the day, being able to enjoy those gentle motions on the face. It starts to engage the parasympathetic nervous system. We start to go into rest and digest. And that, my friends, is one of the absolute best things that we can do in terms of health and vitality. And, since this is about beauty, maintaining radiance is being able to downshift into the space where our body can heal and we can support cellular rejuvenation. My AC is kicking in. I hope that doesn't make a weird background vibration. It's pretty hot here. So those are some of the benefits. Some of the contraindications that you're going to want to know about before we hop in. I mentioned breakouts. You don't want to work over an active breakout, skin that is inflamed or otherwise broken or open. For something like 1 or 2 breakouts, work around them. Simply, I've got one here, work below, act like it's a speed bump, jump over it. Always working below an area helps to move that lymphatic fluid from below where it's going to detoxify. And you don't want to go over raised moles. That's just not going to feel good. If you have injections, also avoiding those areas. With fillers, those are really meant to stay exactly where they're put. So just avoid those. Again, speed bump, work under or over, around. For Botox, most doctors say that it is safe after, say, 2 to 4 weeks. However, increasing that flow of circulation to the area can cause the Botox to wear off faster. So I tend to say just avoid that area. Again, working around it, that's my inclination because most folks that have injections want to keep the benefits as long as they can. If you're pregnant, you want to avoid the pressure point on the top of the shoulder, sort of where your bra strap hits the apex of the shoulder there, has a very strong descending downward energy and is used to induce labor. So we avoid that. Now, my acupuncture friends, assure me that you have to really get into that point firmly and with that intention. The chance of causing anything to happen is very low, but we just avoid that for safety, going super lightly over the tops of the shoulders or avoiding them if you're pregnant or think you're pregnant. The other point would be top of the lip at the philtrum right here for pregnancy to avoid. And otherwise, with pregnancy in general, I tend to advise just going a little lighter, a little gentler, being a little softer than you would otherwise. For anything else, like individual health issues, that sort of thing, just check with your primary care provider if a facial massage that really promotes lymphatic drainage is appropriate for you. So let's get started with some of the basic stroke. So you're going to want some oil, and we're going to practice on the forearm first, and your stone. And I'm going to answer questions at the end, so we'll have some time for Q&A. I'm going to try not to peek into the chat box too much throughout because I have a very bad habit of getting lost on tangents. However, if you have an urgent question, I do have one of my colleagues, Cassandra, here supporting, and she can answer any pressing questions you might have in the chat in the meantime. So get a few drops of oil on the inside of the forearm, and we'll practice some of the basic stroke together now. So first of all, we're going to try a deeper pressure. We'll start there. So imagine you've been carrying some heavy luggage, some heavy grocery bags, doing some lifting, whatever some things might be that would create some tension in the forearm that you want to like massage out and release. And we're going to use, you can either use the comb edge or the smooth edge, and just really massage into the belly of the muscle. No firm pressure over the delicate wrist, over the belly of the muscle, pressing in. Should feel pretty good. So this nice firm pressure, and you can get in there if it feels appropriate and good to you. This nice firm pressure is something we can use on the backs of the shoulders, tops of the shoulders if you're not pregnant, back of the neck, areas where we have these bigger muscle groups and thicker skin on the back of the neck and tops of the shoulders. There, the goal is really to start releasing that accumulated tension so we can open up channels and pathways of circulation for qi, blood, and lymph. So on the sort of topography and anatomy that we're working on, right, we've got muscles on the neck. On the back, we've got bigger, stronger muscles. On the face, we've got much smaller muscles, except for the jaw, which is pound for pound the strongest muscle in your body. That's why jaw tension, my friends, I know you know it's real. And then, of course, we've got the fascia, the connective tissue. We've got the lymphatic fluid, which is much more superficial. And we've got the skin. So we're working on sort of these different layers. And the goal with starting with the neck, again, is opening up that circulation, opening up the pathways. We've got all these meridians coming down the side of the neck, top of the shoulder. Then we have all this lymphatic flow happening through the front of the neck. If we have all kinds of muscular tension, that is not optimal. It's like a traffic jam on the highway, or maybe a log that fell across a stream, preventing that flow. And that's when stagnation happens, when the traffic backs up, when the stream backs up and starts to get swampy. And that's when we start to see skin dulling, more like quality of grayness, accumulation of breakouts, blackheads, more premature aging. Of course, there are multiple causes for all of these, but this is something that we can address with Gua Sha, opening up these pathways so that we have that improved circulation and vitality can flow to the face. So we've established our firm pressure now with the stone. We're going to go to our super light pressure. So we're going to just simply lay the stone on your forearm. And then without adding any pressure, glide it on up. So soothing, so gentle, and keeping it pretty flat now. So starting to notice what it feels like when you have more surface area of the stone in contact with the skin. And for contrast, let's try going a little bit more perpendicular, just so you can feel that too. With that light pressure, you notice there's a difference when you're going really flat. There's almost a slight tugging on the skin. Can you feel that? So that's when we're going to start to engage more with the lymphatic system, the superficial lymph, and also the fascia to an extent, the connective tissue. So that's going to be our light pressure. This is how we're going to work on the front of the neck, under the eyes. And if you have sensitive skin, this might be the pressure that you use throughout, because there is no one size fits all. Here we're going over some framework and some basics, and it's always tailored to you, your needs, your skin, and the same with frequency for that as well. So somewhere in between those two is going to be your medium. And so for most of us, that medium pressure right in between the firm, releasing your muscles, and that super, super, super light, just adding maybe a little bit of pressure, keeping the angle pretty low. So the way I'm holding the stone is that I've got my thumb on the back, my fingers on the front, and that allows me to keep it at about 15 to 45 degrees to the skin. So I am getting more of that surface area of the stone to get that nice little subtle tug going. So that's your medium pressure, great for cheeks, forehead, jaw, under the jaw, and décolleté as well. So let's go ahead and get started with our little ritual. I'm going to get my headband on and then apply tonic and oil. So we've got plenty of slip and glide. And our tonic and oil were really formulated specifically for facial gua sha. That was actually the story of how Wildling started. If I can get my headband on here properly. I was teaching a facial gua sha workshop in LA, and my co-founder Jill, who I mentioned does our formulas, was at that class and approached me afterwards, suggesting that we make some products and a customized stone to really make this facial gua sha ritual like even better. And I thought that was a great idea, and Wildling was born. So we really had the intention in creating these of enhancing these benefits of increased flow of circulation. So starting with the tonic, here's my tonic. Here we go. This has sweet fern, which is one of the biggest lymph movers in the plant kingdom. So we're already starting to work on the level of the lymphatic system. Also has some damask rose, and everything is either organic or wildcrafted. And then with the tonic, this is really plumping and firming, and here balm of Gilead is the star ingredient. And that one Jill found, it's actually referenced even in the Bible. It's a really ancient herb, the balm of Gilead. But she found these books, these almanacs that women were keeping a few hundred years ago to sort of preserve or write down, pass on the way they were keeping house, the way they were growing food, the way they were just because you had to do everything yourself, make your own cleaning products, grow your own food, and they also made their own beauty products. And several times the balm of Gilead was listed to preserve the bloom of youth. And all of its properties really do help to do that. And it helps to start to get the microcirculation going. So it has a slight warming effect on the skin, contributing to moving that circulation of blood and qi as well. And it's got this really nice kind of slip. It's got the viscosity of it is really nice for facial gua sha. Make sure to get the neck and shoulders as well, because we will be working those. And they're super important. Don't skip the neck. And especially these days. I mean, we've probably always had neck tension, but now with like our devices and the weird ways we hold our neck for so much of the day, and it all travels upward, right? When we have tension, in the neck and shoulders, often that's going to be contributing to tension in the jaw, tension in other areas of the face, in addition to creating those sort of traffic jams for circulation that we discussed before. Okay, so we start on the back of the neck and the edges of the stone. Oh, I haven't gone over those yet. We'll do that real quick. So we've got the U edge. This contours the bony structures of the face as well as the spine. So it's really nice to tuck around those bony contours. They are also bony. And then we have the comb edge, which helps to further just stimulate circulation, feels really nice. I love how it feels over the top of the shoulders as well. We've got this short little edge, which is perfect to sneak in right under the eyes, get into all those little nooks and crannies. And then this long, smooth edge is great for just smoothing things out. Or if you have more sensitive skin and it's a better feeling for you to use the smooth edge instead of the comb edge, you can use that as well. Additionally, the comb edge we use for a cross friction technique over fine lines and wrinkles to start to break up the fascia that is formed into that groove underneath. And we can get into that at the end. If I forget and someone remembers, please remind me when we get to the Q&A portion. So we'll start on the back of the neck, and a note there as well, that beautiful angle that we established. Start with that when we get to the front of the neck and onto the face. When we're getting to the back of the neck and shoulders, get in there however you can. And it's also, again, more our goal to work on like releasing the muscle tension, which isn't so angle dependent. Just getting in there in a way that feels somewhat ergonomic and good for your body. So I'm going to turn around and we're going to do each stroke 3 times. The recommended number is between 3 and 10. We're keeping it low today because I want to give you all of the information that I can and not take a super long time with the ritual, but we're going to go through each step and each stroke 3 times. I'm going to turn around and we're going to go up the back of the neck with the U edge snuggling over the spine 3 times. Okay, so that's the first stroke up the spine. That's also a major channel. Next, we're going to go right next to the spine, and I love using the comb edge here. So you're going to be next to the spine on the back of the neck, coming up to the base of the skull, even going into the hairline a bit if you don't mind getting a little bit of oil in that area. And pressure can be firm here. It can feel really good coming up the back. And I like starting doing one full side and then coming back and doing the second full side. So now we're starting with whatever side you're on, we're going to go through that full side. Next, we're going to come down the shoulder. So I'm going to actually switch hands real quick here. I know that makes it a little bit more complicated for this intro class, but it's just so nice to be able to bring in this other arm and relax this shoulder completely while we work on it. So I'm coming down. Remember, if you're pregnant, you're avoiding this one. Top of the shoulder, releasing the trapezius muscle. Again, pressure can be firm and the angle isn't important. This might be one of my favorites, top 3 for sure. Okay, coming around next to the front side of the neck, placing the stone back in the hand of the side that you're working. So I really like to use that hand of the side. Whichever your non-dominant hand is might have a bit of a learning curve, but going over to the opposite side on a regular basis is just not going to be super ergonomic, and the other hand will catch up and learn. So now we're going to our light pressure. We want to feel a lot of that surface area in contact with the skin as we're working down a major lymphatic pathway from outer jaw area and below the ear, coming down to the collarbone. And then we're going to do a little shimmy when we get to the end. The dip at the top of the collarbone is a super important point in lymphatic drainage called terminus. And it's really where we are taking out all of the trash and taking it to the end of the line. So again, coming from outer jaw, earlobe, down to the collarbone, and a little shimmy to further activate that point. Beautiful. So next we're going to come up the throat, and this pressure is feather light, so even lighter than light, and we're using the U edge to come up the throat to the chin. This is another major channel, and it's almost more of an energetic stroke as we never want to put pressure on the windpipe itself. Okay, and then from here, we're going to pivot right onto the jaw and keep those elbows up. It feels a little bit better than this. And we're going to start to bring in our opposite hand to support the tissue so that we're not over pulling on the face. So I like to start here, and then once I'm away from the chin a bit, bringing in that hand. I find it to be more effective than holding on the chin, because that's not going to affect the tissue on the cheek, and it's not going to actually serve the purpose of supporting the tissue and preventing overstretching. So once I've got a little bit of room, just coming in, and our pressure here is that medium, less if you are very sensitive, or one thing I forgot, if you're using a lot of topical retinols, that kind of thing, that thin the skin, to me that puts skin in the sensitive category, and you're going to want to do less pressure, less repetitions. Now here I'm doing a wiggle at the end too, because we have wonderful lymphatic points again in front of the ear. And we also have, typically a lot of muscular tension around this area. So it's just like a little zhuzh to start to help bring some energy to that area, create a little bit of release and a little bit of stimulation for that lymphatic drainage, which is what helps to detoxify the tissue and depuff. Next, we're coming up to the lower cheek. So we're staying below the cheekbone. So find your cheekbone. That's going to be your upper limit. And the reason I really like to stay below it is because we can then get into the beautiful, like our fleshy cheeks a little bit more with pressure. Any area that's more skin and bone, like the cheekbone or the forehead, we go a little bit lighter. Into the cheek, we can actually kind of get in a little bit more. And I really like coming in with the support hand more here as well. I find it to be incredibly firming below the cheekbone. So that's very, very sculpting. So I'm starting below the mouth, next to the mouth and below the cheekbone, and then coming in with that support hand coming out to in front of the ear and doing a nice little shimmy. And this is one of the ones where I find I can see a really quick benefit. So why don't we'll do 5 strokes here. So that's 3 for me, 4, and 5. Beautiful. And if you haven't noticed already, the way that we're breaking things up is that on the neck, we were breaking it up into vertical sections and just working our way around section by section. Now that we're on the face, more horizontal and working our way up. So there is a system to it all. Next, we're using the U edge, and I like to go lighter over the cheekbone. And we're just starting next to the nose and then creating some support and coming out to the temple. And I like a little wiggle there too. There tends to be, again, a lot of tension up in that area. And then using the short edge, coming in. You want to leave a little bit of space below your lower lash line so you're never getting product or a tool like right in your eye, so leaving just a little bit of space. And supporting right over the lower eye and so lightly gliding over that under eye area out to temple. This helps to depuff the under eye area. And of course, it's very important to support the lymphatic drainage that we did down the neck to support this as well. So it has somewhere to continue to flow and drain. Doing one extra here. I'm chronically puffy. I always need the depuffing. Next, the brow bone. So we're coming back to our U edge, and you want to make sure that you have enough slip as well, so you're not tugging. We never want to be overly pulling on the skin, and the eyelids are the thinnest skin on the face other than the lips. So we want to make sure that we are not pulling that delicate butterfly wing tissue. So with the U edge, light pressure, and I'm supporting along as I go, so I'm not over tugging here either. And sculpting that upper eye area. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to vertical as we come onto the forehead. So we're going to work above the brow, and got two options here. You can actually start a little bit below the brow and gently lift up and over for more of a lifting effect. Or if you have more horizontal lines on the forehead and are prone to creating a bit of tension in that muscle there, in the frontalis muscle, it can be nice to start here, and then you don't want to be pulling the eye down, but supporting a little bit in opposition to kind of stretch and iron out that tension in the frontalis muscle on the forehead there. And then finally, we will finish the first half with the third eye stroke, starting below the middle of the brows, stroking up over and up to the hairline. This is a very soothing stroke, working over that pressure point at the third eye. It's very calming for the nervous system. And this one can be great before bed as well to get you into a nice sleepy state. So we've done the first side. I'm going to check in if there's any burning questions in just a second. But just take a moment to take a breath and notice with eyes closed if you feel any difference between the two sides of the face. The side that we worked and the side that we didn't, without touching the face first, just noticing if one side feels more alive, if one side feels puffier, if one side feels just any different at all. And then bringing fingertips to the cheeks and noticing if one side feels puffier, if one side feels firmer. And even giving the tissue just the gentlest little pinch, noticing if it's different from side to side. Beautiful. And I love doing that check-in because especially when we start to get a little bit more skillful with our practice and do a little bit more repetition, I find from 5 upward is when I start to notice more of that difference. 3 is still really going to get things moving and help to maintain everything. But I just love noticing what's shifted, and that keeps me inspired to keep going, as well as all of the other benefits, of course. So again, just taking a quick peep in here, but we'll do most of our Q&A at the end. Take a drink of water now, if you have any. You always want to drink water after doing facial gua sha to help things flush out. Okay, I'll get to these at the end. Oh, I'm just seeing, avoid the shoulder muscle when you're pregnant, which ones and why. I went over that at the beginning. So it's the pressure point where the shoulder, or where if you were wearing a bra or are wearing a bra, where that strap would cross the top of the shoulder. It's a pressure point with a strong descending downward energy that you want to avoid when you're pregnant. Okay, side 2. So we don't have to repeat going over the spine. Let's start right next to the spine on the second side. So back side of the neck, getting all of that. And I love getting into the base of the skull as well and doing that little shimmy once we get to the top. We have a lot of muscle attachments right up there at the base of the skull. Almost like kind of leaning my head back into it because it feels so good. A lot of stagnation can accumulate there. And we're really on the back of the neck right next to the spine here. Beautiful. Switching hands, coming down over the top of the shoulder. And like supporting my elbow, just all feels a little bit more relaxed. And this is a one that's really nice to get into the stroke as well and do, several repetitions when you have a bit more time. Really release that tension. We accumulate so much in the shoulder, so much worry, so much stress. Okay, coming down the front side panel of the neck now, starting around the outer jaw, even below the earlobe. Stone is fairly flat, feeling a lot of that surface area in contact with the skin as you lightly glide down, wiggle at the collarbone. Breathing. And then we've already done the throat, so we're going to skip right on up to jaw. U edge supports the jawline, snuggles right up against it. And then doing that nice little press and shimmy when you get to the end, if it feels good to you. I think it feels amazing. Okay, and then lower cheek. Remember staying below that cheekbone, starting next to the mouth. And the support hand is holding the skin so that you're not overstretching And it also has a firming effect when we're creating just that little short tension between hand and stone. Works on the connective tissue. And since we did 5 on the first side, we'll do 5 on the second. And then U edge sculpts the cheekbone. Again, I like lighter pressure here. If we're going to use any more pressure, putting the emphasis on the bottom point so we're carving underneath rather than putting pressure over the more delicate cheekbone. And then short edge snuggles right up along the nose and then lightly glides out to temple, sweeping below the eye. Brow bone, pressure is still light. U edge hugs the brow bone. And the support hand comes along as well, making sure that we are not overstretching our delicate eyelids. And on that delicate eyelid note, I am so glad you are all here and learning this technique correctly. I have seen some wild shit on Instagram lately, y'all. Wild. People doing things with Gua Sha stones and the eyelid that I'm just like, no, 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 no. You know, immediately, maybe not gonna be the worst thing in the world, but certainly not beneficial. And over time, detrimental. We want to have a sustainable practice. We want to have a practice that can stay with us until we are sweet little old things and we can pass it along to future generations and not have it be a flash in the pan because it gets a lot of likes on TikTok because it looks crazy. So that being said, back to our ritual. So glad you are all here. Coming above the brow, doing whichever version you did on the first side, either giving a little bit more lift or supporting and opening through that frontalis muscle more. And then we'll repeat this because it's my favorite. It's just so nice and so soothing. You carry so much tension in the forehead, so much worry. You know, all of the muscles of the face are connected with emotion. The face is where we show the world how we feel, how we show other people how we feel. And when we take the time to care for it, we also help to start to release some of those emotions that might continue to be stuck in the face. Our issues are in our tissues. So much stress gets held in the body, and it's an area that's so nice to care for. And that's why I particularly love doing facial gua sha at the end of the day to help just kind of take the day off, you know, washing your face, take off your sunblock, makeup, and then sort of taking off energetically the emotions of the day. When you do the full ritual, it can, when we're doing about 3 strokes, it will maybe take about 7 minutes. And when you're going longer and slower, you know, you can go up to 20 minutes, half an hour, but remembering that that 20-minute mark, 10-stroke mark is sort of the upper limit for most areas to go over It's going to be, maybe a little bit less for, again, folks that are sensitive, folks that are using things like retinols on the skin that are going to make it thinner. So you are the expert on you and your skin, and really observing how the skin is responding can help to give you information on how to gauge the framework to best suit you. So again, drinking water is great. I'm going to take a little sip now. You can just see if you feel a little bit more even on both sides. Often the second side will take a minute to catch up with the first. And I'm going to start to peek into questions, but before that, I know people are going to ask the frequency. We recommend a minimum of 3 times a week to start to shift the patterns that we're holding in the tissues to start to see a difference. And that same 3 times a week will continue to maintain that as well. The upper limit being every day. And again, that might not be appropriate for everyone. For a ton of people, it is and can feel really good, and you'll really see a difference. And the results are cumulative as well. So again, there are some that we see more immediately, and then some that we start to see more cumulatively because we are releasing tension, because we are releasing stagnation over and over and over. That is going to start to shift the way that your face is going to age as we move through time, because you are consciously releasing the tension, increasing the flow, increasing the vitality, just keeping everything really, really healthy. The other thing that we want to do is wash the stone. Between nieces, simple soap and water, easy peasy. Be careful when your stone is slippy. They do, or not that they do, they can break if you drop them, especially like from standing height onto the bathroom floor, which is one of the reasons I love getting comfy in somewhere like this for my facial gua sha. So I typically wash my face, apply my tonic and oil, and then go get cozy, sit down with my stone, and go through my ritual. That way it also feels more like I'm taking care of myself rather than like a chore, like standing there brushing my teeth, which tends to feel, brushing your teeth is self-care. I don't want plaque buildup, but it doesn't feel as luxurious as facial gua sha. So I tend to keep my stone more on hand near the couch or bedstand. Okay. You can go ahead, type your questions into the chat. I'm gonna do a little catch up here now. Can my 13-year-old use gua sha? Sure. That's so beautiful. That sounds really lovely. Will this video be saved? Yes. It is recording now. Am I taking clients in New York? I am no longer. My studio closed in the pandemic. It got eclipsed out, and it is all for the best. I loved having that studio, but it was hard. It was a lot of work, and I really like being mobile. I'm in Austin, Texas now, and I'm not seeing clients yet, but will be in the near future. Do you have to use oil with gua sha, or can you just use moisturizer? So you really want something that gives you continuous slip and glide, right? And again, we really formulated the Empress oil to have that really wonderful viscosity that gives you slip and glide throughout. Moisturizers can have a variety of formulations, so it depends on the moisturizer perhaps. They can go from really light, where it's an emulsion of mostly water, a little bit of oil, that's gonna absorb into the skin really quickly. You're gonna get stuck with the stone. It's not gonna give you continuous slip and glide. Something that's really rich might give you more continuous slip and glide, but again, we created the Empress just for this. Okay, Kelly's saying I use a ton of oil so it doesn't feel like I need to hold my skin so it doesn't pull. Is that okay? That's a great question. So you're gonna find your sweet spot with the quantity of oil for gua sha. I say you want enough slip, but just a little grip. When you get that just a little bit, like we felt on the forearm when we practiced, that's going to be really great for, again, the connective tissue and the superficial lymph to start to get those moving. So when it's a total slip and slide and you're not getting any traction, you miss out on some of those benefits. So if you love, getting really nice and oiled up, you can apply a little bit less perhaps when you're doing your facial gua sha, and then even apply more products after, which leads me to product layering and facial gua sha for those that use more products. So there's a few different ways we can go about this. If you're, simple in your routine, you typically use something like a tonic and oil, this can be your last step. If you're doing facial gua sha in the morning, I was saying I like to do it at night, but morning is absolutely fine as well. The thing is you just want clean skin, and then you're applying your products and working it in. So after you've worked everything into the skin with your facial gua sha, you could go ahead and apply makeup, sunblock, anything else. If you don't like leaving oil on your skin, you could even remove it after and then apply the products that you want to keep on the skin. If the oil is completely absorbed when you finish doing your facial gua sha, you can start from scratch and add in your vitamin C serum, your hyaluronic, whatever else you're using, and then add a little bit more on top. If it feels like you have a bit much on your face for that, you might want to remove a bit and then start again. So it depends on what your routine is and how you're working with it. But there's a number of different routes you can go. You can also, if you tend to use more steps in your ritual or in your skincare routine, but you don't want to go through the whole thing when you're doing facial gua sha, you can just have maybe a couple nights a week that you keep it simple with tonic and oil. The reason I don't like layering water-based serums like vitamin C or hyaluronic underneath the oil is that they tend to create a more tacky consistency when you then have the oil on top. And again, you don't get a slip and glide that's really nice. It tends to get a little bit more stuck. Okay, I'm scrolling through here again. Sometimes I use gua sha while watching a show or using my phone and spend hours using my gua sha. Is that bad? And if so, what are the consequences of overdoing it? So I fully support a movie or TV and facial gua sha, but the same sort of rule still applies of you don't want to go over an area, more than say 10 times. I do find that if I'm doing a TV and gua sha, I tend to go significantly slower and kind of like will almost feel into things more and maybe linger in certain areas more. I also highly recommend bringing in the Empress Wand, our companion tool. For times like that, it's really great for TMJ. We can dig into the musculature a little bit more. It's also wonderful for pressure point work. So this is a really nice one. You can kind of like go slow and explore and use some more pressure with as well. And if you do have jaw tension or TMJ, it's a really beautiful one to bring in. Someone was asking again about areas to avoid when pregnant, pressure point on the top of the shoulder and at the upper lip. We weren't doing so much around the mouth today. This is a basic framework. So this is our basic Empress ritual. There are so many different ways you can use your stone. There are so many different, levels of tissue that we can address. Again, we've got the musculature, we've got the fascia, we've got the lymph. We can focus in on one of those and really work on exclusively depuffing. We can really work on exclusively lifting. We can really focus in on tension release depending on our pressure, our direction, different kinds of things. And this is a beautiful, well-rounded, basic ritual to get you started and even add on from. I'm realizing one thing I promised to go over that I haven't yet is the neck directions. So we started with our drainage, right? So really good for depuffing, opening things up. I love doing that at the beginning. Down to drain up to lift. So if you want to work more on neck lifting, we're then going to go up from collarbone to jaw, lifting on the neck. And both can be done in one session. I would highly recommend starting and actually doing both sides at the beginning, getting some of that drainage moving, and then at the very end, coming back and doing the lifting on the neck. And we can then move that into our lifting moves for the face as well, really bringing that tissue, encouraging against gravity, moving upwards. Okay, someone's asking if you get a swollen lymph node on the neck from the drainage, should you stop on that side until it resolves or continue with a lighter touch to keep things moving along? So that can happen. It's not super common, but it can. You want to make sure to drink a lot of water. And I would say chill until it resolves, just like drinking lots of water. Other things that you can do to support your lymphatic system are rebounding. If you happen to have a small trampoline, I like to bounce around my heels, just kind of get loose, shake it up. Also great for the lymphatic system, as are Epsom salt baths, really any kind of exercise or movement. The lymphatic system doesn't have pumps moving it through like the blood system does. So our external movement, like exercise, any kind of movement or massage, help to move the lymphatic system along. Also, getting good sleep. Never underestimate the power of a good night's sleep. Okay, Jill's asking, will this help with smoothing a deep wrinkle between the brows? It's my only major wrinkle, but it's so deep now. With consistency, I would say, without seeing you, I'm taking a bit of a guess, but it can probably be reduced. It will probably not disappear completely. And the other technique I promised I'd show is the friction technique that we use with the comb edge to go over fine lines and wrinkles. So after, warming up the tissue with some of our basic strokes is when you want to go in. You can also additionally warm up the tissue with a warm washcloth or even heat the stone to help to relax the connective tissue when we're going into work on an area like this. So if I was going to be working my 11 line, I'm going to hold that taut. I'm going to take this comb edge and I'm going to go perpendicular and do cross friction. So this is going to start to break up the fascia that is bound into that sort of configuration, that shape. It's like if you're folding a piece of paper and then it retains that line, then it starts to act like scar tissue, and we want to start to break it up so that it becomes fluid and flexible again, and blood flow can be restored. So that's really great to work over the line directly. We also want to address the musculature. So usually it's tension through the corrugator muscles that pull the brows together, procerus that pulls them down. And so we want to release that musculature as well. And for any areas of concern, chances are I've made a tutorial on it, and you can check our Wildling at Wildling_beauty Instagram. And we've got everything organized in IGTVs and reels for different areas of the face and body. So there's tutorials for just about anything and everything, because we've been at this for a couple of years now. And if you prefer going through a full ritual step by step, similar to what we did today, but with a little bit more time, relaxation, and focus, I also have a Gua Sha course with rituals specifically for lymphatic drainage, for lifting, our everyday sort of routine that you can go through like an on-demand yoga class where you're going through everything step by step, and you can do them again and again. And you can find that in my link in bio on Instagram, which is at Britta_beauty, and that is yours basically forever. Okay, making my way through here. It looks like I've addressed a lot of these. For bruxism, what is best to do? Empress Wand is your friend for that. I've had so many stories and witnessed so many people with really intense TMJ and bruxism have relief with using this stone as self-care. I've also collaborated with a TMJ doctor in New York. that I am friends with who has gone through my protocols and recommends his clients to me for, previously professional facials and now for the home care. People that used to get Botox in the jaw, people that had a lot of pain, sort of overdevelopment of the jaw muscle, of the masseter, sort of that thickening of the muscle, having all of that reduced by doing regular home care with our little Empress wand. Oh, Kimberly's asking about chest sternum. Again, pop in the IG and check it out. Okay, Priscilla's asking, I felt more rigidity and fibers on the jawline. Can that be smoothed over time with more strokes? So this is something I hear a lot from people when they're starting facial gua sha for the first time as well. There's a few things happening on the jaw. So we do have attachments of different muscles coming down here. So we're gonna feel something that's maybe the muscle or slightly tendinous happening. Also, the jaw bone itself is not smooth. You're going to feel little ridges that are just simply the structure of the jawbone. So you can also take time and feel into them. Does this feel like a tense muscle or does this feel like a bone? And when you feel something that is muscle tension, spending more time there, either with the Empress Wand, which is again great to get into muscular tension, or even taking one of these points on the Empress Stone and simply sitting there, making some gentle movements. Another thing actually for the jaw we can do with the Empress Stone is come down with this short edge between cheek and jawbone and simply come down where it's helping to relax that masseter muscle a little bit. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you guys, we've got a code. We have a discount code if you have not yet tried our products, the tonic and oil. The code is all caps summer20, and you're gonna get 20% off the Empress oil and tonic until midnight Pacific tomorrow. So if you haven't tried the Empress oil and the Empress tonic, now is a really good time to try that. Carla's saying she just took a before and after photo and it's a dramatic difference. Amazing! Just imagine when your skills improve and you get into it and do a few more repetitions. I'm so excited for you. Yes, a reminder to drink lots of water. Drink your water. Hydrate. You want to flush it through. Someone's asking about cleansing and charging the stone. So washing with face-friendly soap is great, and then if you want to, treat it more like a crystal and you're into that kind of thing, you can put it in a saltwater bath, you can put it out under the moon, the sun, anything you would do with your other crystals. Are acne or rosacea contraindicated? So anything that's inflamed, we don't work over. That includes both of those. For rosacea, I've actually seen this be helpful to start to move that trapped heat. You would just actually, if your rosacea is inflamed, skip this little cheekbone area, just working underneath and then maybe going straight gently to the under eye. And same with acne, when it's active, we do not work over it. If you have 1 or 2 breakouts, working around them. All right, I am getting through. It looks like there's just more and more. Oh, okay, I've made it through the questions. We are done. If you've made it to the end, you are a champ. If you have anything else for me, let me know. Otherwise, I will be signing off and bidding you adieu and reminding you to drink water and stick with it 3 times a week and check out our tutorials. And I hope that you make this ritual a part of your life. I love it so much, and it's been a pleasure sharing it with you. Again, you can use code SUMMER20 for 20% off tonic and oil until midnight tomorrow. Bye, everyone.